Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you are having an amazing day. So today we are kicking off a brand new tutorial series on GraphQL, one of the most trending technologies in modern web development. But before we dive in, let's first understand why GraphQL is gaining so much popularity over REST APIs. So basically, GraphQL is designed to optimize data fetching by allowing clients to request exactly what they need. Nothing more, nothing less. This helps to reduce unnecessary data transfer and improves performance, making it powerful alternative to the traditional REST APIs. So in today's series, we will first cover what is GraphQL, then we'll take a real-time example to understand how GraphQL works, then we'll set up a GraphQL server from scratch, and then we'll build a small React app and integrate GraphQL step by step. So if you're ready to learn GraphQL from scratch, then sit back, relax, let's dive in together. Let's get started. So before we dive into the GraphQL, let's first understand how REST APIs work and why GraphQL was introduced as an alternative. Imagine we have built a food delivery app using React for a front end, and our backend is powered by Node.js. The front end needs to communicate with backend to fetch data and displays it on UI. For example, when user logs into the app, the first thing they need is the list of restaurant. So in the background, client hits the request, then client make an API call at the background and fetches the data, which will return a list of restaurant. So in REST API word, client will make the GET request along with this endpoint, for example, the restaurant. The response that came from the server, which includes ID, name, rating, menus, and many more. So this response contains all available data about restaurant. For example, IDs, names, rating, location, menus, and many more. But what if the client only needs the restaurant list or restaurant name? With REST API, there is no way to request just a specific field we need. So if we also want to fetch a restaurant rating separately, we might have to send another request. We might have to send another request like this. So this means multiple API calls are needed to get different piece of data, which increase the response time and affect performance. Then how this GraphQL solve this problem? So now let's see how GraphQL handles the same scenario. Instead of making multiple API requests, GraphQL allows the client to specify exactly what data is needed in the single request. So using GraphQL, we'll make the API call. In that we'll make the endpoint, that is restaurant, and in that restaurant what we need only the name of restaurant. We need to define this. So for example, if we only need the restaurant name, we can write in a query like this, and the response will come or return only the name of the restaurant, which is like this. So this means no unnecessary data is fetched, no need to multiple API calls. The client gets exactly what they need in one request, which improves the performance. So as you can see, with GraphQL, we can make a single API request and get exactly the data we need. Nothing more, nothing less. This helps to reduce unnecessary data transfer and optimize the performance. So now it's time for an hands-on demonstration. First, we'll set up a GraphQL server to understand how it works, and then we'll move on integrating it with frontend. So let's get started. So now let's quickly set up a GraphQL server. So for that, let's open terminal, new terminal, and let's do npm init. So it will download or create the package.json file. If you see, the package.json is created, and in that the required things are automatically added. Then let's do npm install express. Now the express is install. If you see the dependency, there is express is installed, and then we are using this Apollo server to use this GraphQL. So let's quickly go to this official documentation of this Apollo server. So this is the framework where we're using this framework. We can use this GraphQL. So in that we need to follow some couple of steps. So in that I'll copy this command and then paste this. So it will start the installation of this Apollo server GraphQL. And then there is one more dependency that we need to use. That is, I'll copy. I have already noted this down on the notepad. So Apollo server.express. So I'll copy this one and again do npm install and then Apollo server.express. So it will use these dependencies. Let's clear the terminal and then let's create the server.js file. So I will create one more server.js file. In that, let's create a server. So for that, let's do const express require express, then let's use const something, it's require Apollo server express, and in that let's use Apollo server and then GQL, which is used for the type definition. Then create const app is equal to express, and then let's create a server and use const server is new, then Apollo server, and in that Apollo server we need to pass two arguments to use this GraphQL. So before we passing the two arguments, let's create those and then try to use that. So let's create these two arguments. The first one is type definition. So this is used to mention the query that we need to pass to the GraphQL. So I'll use const type defs, and in that what we'll do, we'll just initially we'll set up a type and we'll give basically this is my bad, give me a second. So it's GQL and it's a string thing. So initially I will set up a type, and in that type we'll give the name of that type. We can enter any name. So I'll use the data, and in that I just want the restaurants, or we'll just print the name of the restaurants on the UI. So I need the name, and the type of that name is string, and then I'll use one more. We need to define the query, so I'll use type query, and in that get data, and that will set up data. So we have done with the first argument, that type definition. So again we need to create the resolver where the expected result will be returned. So resolvers, in that I will use query, and in that let's use get data, and then we'll use. So in that what we'll do, we are not making any API call or a database or not fetching any data from the database. So now for the demonstration purpose we'll use the static data. So I will create one more file in this folder. So I'll create one more file. I will give the name of the file, that is list.js, which will return the list. And I have already copied some random data which will show the list of restaurants. So I will copy this and let's do export dot list, and then we'll paste this. So in that, what the data will return, that is ID, the name of the hotel, and the email. So I have mostly used this test one. Let's use this test 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's save this. Let's import this file, const the file name require, and then let's import the file and the list. So what we'll do, we'll just return the list in the get data function, and then we'll just pass these two arguments to the Apollo server. The first argument is type dfs and second one is the resolver. So now we have created the server. Now let's create one more async function which will create a function and we'll give the name of the function. So start server, and then we don't want any argument need to pass to this start server function, and we'll add one await, and then server dot start. So we'll create a middleware, so server dot apply middleware, and in that we'll pass this created app. And then now let's use app dot listen. We'll add the port, that is 4000, and then let's print the console.log and just enter the app it's or server is up running on 4000 port. And let's save this, and we forget to start the server, so I'll call the function start server. Start server. Then let's save this. So now let's start the server. Node server.js, and the console is printed. The server is running on the 4000 port. So now let's quickly go to this browser and open the localhost. And if you see, we are hitting this localhost 4000 GraphQL, and it will open the default page of this GraphQL or Apollo server. So now let's click on this query your server button. It will open a new window where we need to customize our query or check the output that is coming from the server, or it is returning the required data as we seen. So in that, let's do, in this operation section we need to execute the query. So if you see on the server.js, we have created the get data. So let's use get data, and in that we just need the name which is present on the get data. So once we click on the execute query, it will only return the name of a restaurant. It restrict or it removes the IDs and the email address of the restaurant. So it only returns the name. If we pass, for example, the ID, we want ID also along with the name. And let's click, I think ID. I think we have ID. Yes, but we need to mention in here also ID, and we can use the integer, otherwise the ID. Let's save this again. Let's one more time, let's run the node server.js and quickly go to this ID, and then let's execute. So it is returning the name along with the ID. So accordingly you can fetch the data as per the requirement or the client's requirement. It only returns the uh, required query or entered data in the query, so accordingly it will fetch and return back to the UI, or returns the data as a response. So now let's quickly, what we'll do, let's map this with the React app or the front end. So again, let's go to the VS Code one more time, and I will create one more folder in this. So now let's quickly open the terminal. I will and create one React app inside the same directory. So I'll use npx create React app. So I'm using the old command to install the React app, but now in the Next.js and Vue.js the command is updated, but the support is not the support will be remain the same for this command, so it will not affect anything. So I'll give the name of the app, that is client. So now it will start at the installing the package.json and the React DOM and required packages. So it will take some time to installing the package. Once that is done, then we'll set up a React app, and then we'll integrate or we'll try to fetch the data and we'll map this on the front end. So meanwhile, I'll show you for the front end, we'll use the front end Apollo client. So again, let's quickly go to the browser and then open the Apollo client. So it will open the Apollo client official documentation, and in that let's click on the get started. Here are the steps to map or integrate the Apollo client on the UI. So here we need to follow or install this Apollo client GraphQL and to initialize the Apollo client and many more. So we'll do or we'll see one by one once our app React app is created. So again, let's go to the command prompt. So it is installing the boilerplate. So now client is created. So now let's go to the cd client, clear the terminal, and then let's do npm start. Let's quickly see our React app is running or not. If you see, it's loading and the app is running. So we'll update the UI accordingly. We will just print the content, and accordingly we'll map the restaurant name on the UI. So let's again go to the command prompt and let's stop the running, and again let's go to the Apollo client and we'll try to install the Apollo client package. I'll use npm install Apollo client. So it will take a minute to install the package. So now package is installed. Now it's to initialize. So now initialize the Apollo client. So I'll use copy this. So now let's go to the app.js, the soc app.js. We will use this later. We'll directly go to the index.js and we'll import this, and then let's create one client in this. Const client is equal to new Apollo client, and in that let's enter the URI and the cache. So in that we'll use this new in memory cache, that will use the localhost GraphQL. And then we'll use the Apollo provider to pass the client to the app.js or to use or to pass to the client, and then X Control V, and then just pass the client as a props, as a provider. Then let's save this. Now let's quickly go to the app.js, and here we'll use const data and then loading, and then we'll use the hook, that is use query, and in that hook we need to pass some additional argument that we already passing in the server.js, that we have already checked in the type definition. We pass some arguments, so let's create one more query here. I already copied some data. In that, what we'll do, we just created one query. In that, we pass the get data. Think I have one typo. Get data. We can enter any name over here, and then what we need in the query, we just need the name of the restaurant that is mapped on the static data. So in the get data, we only pass the name. Let's pass this query to this hook, and then let's again, if let's do if the loading is there, then just return on the UI there is one, will return or will print one h1 tag, that is loading, and then in the content we'll just remove this and we'll create one more h1 tag where we'll print our YouTube channel name, welcome to TechnoAarambh, and then we'll map the restaurant name. So for that we'll use data.get data.map, and in that element, and we'll return content. We just print on the text, we'll use the text label, and here element dot name. We just need these two parameter. Get to add this one bracket was missing, so now let's again go to the command prompt and let's see our app is running. Let's go to the browser and see. The GraphQL API is getting hit, but and the response is also coming, but unfortunately we are not able to print the data. So I think there is some mistake happen. Oops. Again, go to the browser, and now if you can see the response is coming and only the restaurant name is mapped on the UI. So in this way you can fetch the required data with using the GraphQL. So that's all about the GraphQL. So as you can see, GraphQL allows us to fetch only the required data while reducing unnecessary API calls, ultimately improves application performance. A quick recap what we have covered so far. So in this tutorial we covered what GraphQL is and how it differs from the REST APIs. Then we have seen why GraphQL is most efficient and how it improves the performance. Then we have set up a GraphQL server with practical demonstration. Then we have created a static response data and testing it using the Apollo server. Then we have integrating GraphQL with React frontend using Apollo client and displaying the restaurant names dynamically on the UI. So I hope this tutorial helped you to understand the basics of GraphQL, how it works, its key use cases, and why it is so powerful. With this GraphQL, we can fetch only the data we need, eliminate unnecessary API calls and optimizing the performance. If you found this video very helpful, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe to support the channel. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section. I'll do my best to respond to you as soon as possible. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, have a wonderful day.